All right, we're live.
Hello everyone. Welcome back. Nice to see you guys again. Welcome to Dojocast Ep.6, and I am Hyun, and of course I'm here with my two hosts, Mr. Stone and Hatena.
How you?
Hello.
Yo, what's up, guys? And oh man, I'm excited today because we have a special. I mean, all of our guests are special, but we have a extra special guest today, and that is that man hovering over my lifeless body. It's Alan Becker, everyone. We got him on finally. Let's go.
Hello.
Yeah, Alan, how are you doing, man? It's nice to see you.
I'm doing very well, Hyun. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I mean, like, we've all seen your face before, but it's good to see your true form finally come out.
Yeah, I don't remember you being so sharp, like so pointy.
Exactly.
You know?
I don't show this form very often, no.
It's a good look. I like it. I think you should do it more often. But
You're right. Good.
So,
yeah.
shall I get into the questions here? I know everyone's probably chomping at the bit to want to get into these.
Oh,
yeah, let's do it. We have a lot.
We do, and I'm now, Alan. I'm sure you've answered this question in the past because this has got to be one of the most common questions I think I've ever gotten. But what got you started in stick figure animation?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's such a simple question, but I actually don't know if I have like a standard answer. I mean, I started animating when I was 10. I was doing like pixel GIF animations, like back then. Flash, I don't think Flash was a thing back then, so I was using this very rudimentary thing. And then when I was like, I did that for a couple months and then didn't animate ever again until like high school. That's when I heard about Flash, and Flash was like, oh, there's onion skinning. Oh, you can make like a background. Oh, wow, it's really easy. Oh, other people are doing it. Oh, they're making these fight scenes, and like that was back in 2005.
Yeah.
So
that is crazy. So you started when you're around 10 years old. So you were just a wee little Becker back then.
Wee little Becker, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us kind of, well, I guess at least for me and Stone, like we kind of grew up in that same kind of environment. But I started like way later when I was like 18, 19, I think, in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 13. I think it was 2003, 2004 for me. And
that is insane.
Dude, I remember because there's just back then there was no resources for anything like tutorials. YouTube wasn't really, I don't know if it even existed yet.
It did not.
But so like I remember the first day I saw the stick fight animations. I wanted to get into it, and there was it took me 8 hours to figure out how to go to the next frame. I was so excited. I was so excited with the program. I was like, I can't wait. This is so exciting. And I was like animating on the same frame as if that meant something. And then I think I accidentally bumped it and it erased. Oh God! I erased everything. And I realized I went to the next frame. And I'm like, oh
yeah.
My whole world's unlocked.
What about you, Hatena? When did you start? You were a late bloomer, right? A little bit.
Oh well, so I forget what year I was in third grade, and I don't want to do the math, but it was when I was in third grade. Yeah, well,
what the heck?
Kind of. That's the first time I opened Pivot, because in at school we had a computer science class, and we were just being taught the basics, like how to use a keyboard. But you could come in during lunch if you wanted, and not a lot of people would, because at that period, at least at my school, wasn't really popular. But I saw this one kid who was using Pivot, and he was animating a stick figure and an elephant, and I was like, well, I want to try that. And I started moving around the stick figures on my own, and I was like, where's the animate button? How do I make it look good? And then I asked the kid across the room, like, how are you doing this? How do I do this right? And he's like, no, you have to move them every single frame. Like, you have to think about their movement. I was like, that's stupid. Who wants to do that? And then a few years later, I started doing it again on Flipnote Studio, and then eventually discovered Hyun's Dojo in mid to late 2015. And that's when I started really getting into stick figure animations.
Yeah, damn. Wait, going back to Alan. So like when you first started, right? When was like between that and like you making the first viral animation that you made? Animator versus animation, right? The very first one.
Well, from when I got into Flash, I played around just a little bit, and it was my second thing that I posted on Newgrounds that went viral, which is definitely not how it usually goes, and it's not like I'm not here to brag or anything, but like it's just what happened. So it was, like a couple months.
What kind of gave you that iconic idea of stick figures interacting with like the desktop, you know, because that was like insane back then, and no one even like would think about doing that kind of thing.
Like an amalgamation of many sources, because I think I'd seen there were some animations out there that had like a stick or like a cursor. There was like one called Icon Story, where the icons fight each other. I think there was some where there's a cursor briefly. Like there was a mouse thief game you could play, and then there was all those like Daffy Duck fights against the animator.
Oh yeah, dude, I remember that one. So wait, so you were actually pretty inspired by that one, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's interesting too, because like back then our community was like pretty separate.
Yeah.
And then you were kind of on your own, right, Alan? Like you didn't really have any community doing your thing, and we were all just like, bro, who's this Alan Becker guy? Like he must be like some kind of software engineer from Universal Studios or something, like making this kind of stuff.
No way.
Yeah, that was so strange because it felt like at the time we knew everyone in the space, and so like it was so incredibly rare for a stick figure animation to pop up somewhere that we didn't know where it came from, who it was. They're like well within the community, and it was like you could less than 10 people over time, where it was like, where did this even come from? And it just boom, dragon, it's just there. And what's funny is I used Animator versus Animation to describe to other people what I did for so long, because it was so big and so many, like whether you were 5 or 80, anyone could have seen it and could have enjoyed it at the entire spectrum. So I'd be like, you know, have you ever seen like when the stick figure like destroys the computer desktop? And I'd be like, I do something kind of like that. And I go, oh, because like there was no other bridge I could get like to the average like viewer or just someone I'm talking to, you know, that asked me what I was doing or whatever. So it was the perfect segue to explain it.
That's funny that you guys were like kind of like wondering, oh, who's this Alan guy? Because like I was on the other side, like seeing all the RHG stuff and like Stick Page and Fluid Anims and being like, oh my gosh, these guys are so cool. And then Hyun reaches out to me much later, hey, you wanted to join Hyun's dojo? I'm like, oh my god, it's Hyun.
Wait, there's no dude, I don't even remember doing that. Like that's crazy.
I was excited. I was like, oh my god, I get to be one of the stick figure people. Like
that's so cool.
Get to join because I was like, you know, on my own and didn't have any friends.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's a small world, dude. It's a small world. Yeah, you didn't have. I'm sorry. We should have reached out sooner, bro. Like
that. No, it's fine. I had friends.
It all worked out.
So like after the first, you know, like the first massive hit of Animator versus Animation. I mean, that, like I said, it was like the second thing you uploaded to Newgrounds. And for those listening, like getting the front page of Newgrounds back then was the Olympic gold medal. That was like, it wasn't getting a bunch of views necessarily or getting like YouTube didn't even exist. It was like, you got the front page of Newgrounds. That was the front page of the internet for what we were doing. So like after that success of that, did you take a break after Animator versus Animation before like moving back into stick figure animation or moving forward with the series?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, I saw Animator versus Animation as like a cool thing that happened, but I wanted to be an animator, you know, and everyone knows that you're not an animator unless you work at Pixar or
exactly. I've heard that so many times.
So I was like, okay, well, I gotta reach for my dream And yeah, I went to college, got a degree in animation, applied for my internship at DreamWorks and at Pixar. Didn't get in, and I was like, okay, well, I didn't get in. That was my chance, and I blew it. And well, guess I'll find some job at some local business or something, doing like graphic design or something. But it was my teacher at my senior year of college who was like, who knew about my animations. He was like, don't you have like people following you? Couldn't you do something with that? And so the idea was that I would continue my series, even though I was like pretty set on like it being a trilogy. Animator is animation 1, 2, 3, and at the end of 3, everyone dies. Like the computer crashes.
Jesus Christ!
Very Avengers of you.
How do you continue from there? But I decided to continue it anyway, and that's where we got the main cast of my channel. The orange, yellow, green, blue, red.
That's crazy.
All because of my teacher.
It's so funny how life works out, because like, what a gift it was for you to not get hired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? At that time, it must have been the most soul-crushing, like defeating thing ever.
Yeah.
And it's like everything that followed would not have happened, or most likely would not have happened, if that didn't happen. So you have this huge pivotal wall that was so critical in like moving you back in this direction, and you're able to pivot to something so just wonderful for like the whole world to enjoy, you know? And it's just, it's funny how that always seems to work out that way, you know? Bounces you back and forth.
No regrets. I actually do not wish in any way that I was working for someone else at a big studio.
Right?
I love having my own thing and having control over my own creativity.
That's crazy, because like I feel like every person, especially when they're kind of like in the creative field, right? They always have that big turning point decision that they have to make in their lives, because there's like, you grow up as a normal kid going to school and you know, just trying to get a degree and like, I don't know what, like a standard degree in the jobs field, but then you gotta like make that really big leap into like, do I want to do this thing that's gonna like risk everything versus not doing it and then like doing something else.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's crazy that you've like kind of gone through that same thing.
I guess so.
It was so much not like, I had the same sentiment of like, stick figures was like, yeah, it's a fun cutesy little thing, but you're not really an animator until you either get that job or at the bare minimum start animating like full body figures. That was like, now you get to say that you're an animator, you know, because you're able to move an actual like figure, a cartoon that everyone else would be able to perceive. And this always brings me back to this question, because this is the question I had to ask myself was, what is your favorite thing about stick figures as an animation medium?
Oh yeah. Stick figures get so much hate. Like, oh,
dude, I know.
I was a hater when I started.
Yeah.
I thought they were so lazy.
You have so much more like creative freedom, and like when you don't have to animate the hair, like the eyes. I mean, you can get an animation done so quickly and have the same impact. I mean, you do have to be a really good storyteller, and like it is also a challenge to pull it off without, you know, facial features. Yeah. But it's really fulfilling when you can pull it off, like make people cry without faces or words. It's a fun challenge, but it also opens a door for everyone in the world to enjoy your content without speaking the same language.
So going back to, you know, where you did your big hit animation, you went to college, and you went in for the job offer, got declined, and you're looking back at, you know, continuing your series. Did you ever think in that moment that, like, could you have ever imagined for your channel to become one of the top % in the world in this thing that you were about to step into? Because, like, I can imagine the fear in that moment. You're like, okay, I guess I'm doing this now. At least I'm going to give this a shot. Let's try it again, you know? And you get to scale into where you're at. Could you ever, like, imagine that would be where you are now?
No, I mean, when I started, my sights were so short-sighted in the beginning. Like I just want to be on the front page of Newgrounds or something like that. Like,
right. It's such a smaller scale.
Yeah. And I think it was just a lot of things just fell into place. Like, I had no idea that I would attract such a like international audience, and gain probably way more followers than I would have if I had included talking, voice acting, or words. So that was a very lucky thing that allowed the channel to definitely reach a lot more people. So yeah, I don't know. It's very fortunate. Oh, look, we can see some of the.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can kind of imagine their success in the future to that kind of scale. And yeah, it was the same for me. Like, before I started Hyun's Dojo as a community and a channel and all that, it was all while I was going to school, and it was, for the longest time, it was just a hobby, right? And just a bunch of us just doing animations together. But yeah, I feel like our channel as well has come really far, and to represent stick figures and the community of the like. So yeah, it's crazy, like, how fortunate we are in that sense.
I'm glad you've stuck with it all this time, Hyun. If you guys don't know, I've tried to rope in Hyun into our team so many times. Like, no, I can't leave my dojo behind.
Oh yeah, dude. Like, Alan has tried to hire me, and I had to deny it. But then but that's ended up being a good thing, because you got Hatena, which I recommended, and he's really good at his job.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Hatena is my production manager, or I guess, as the industry says, line producer. That's
it started more as production manager, but then as we continued growing, it morphed into line producer.
Line producer is like, you're just in charge of every production, like making sure everyone's doing stuff. So
yeah, that is insane. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of the chat didn't even know Hatena is the production manager for Alan Becker. Did you guys know?
Hi, chat. I work for Alan.
Yep.
Here we are.